Welcome to AFL Access. My name is Joel, and today I will be doing a review of the showdown that just happened last night. Showdown 47, for that matter. Let's just get into it. So, we'll just give a little bit of background going into the match, but yeah, we'll just do a little bit of background getting into the match, and then we'll get into it outright. Alright, so the week before Adelaide lost to Geelong in Geelong by 27 points, a score of 96-69. Pretty much the first half was looking pretty good, and then we started to fade, but didn't get blown out of the water. Anyway, Port Adelaide were coming off a loss against the Bulldogs by 25 points in atrocious conditions at Adelaide Oval. It was just pissing down with rain the entire day and the entire evening. I personally got a hearty chuckle out of the game because I'm a Spiteful Crows fan, but I would be forced to eat my force-fed some very, very humbling pie. We'll look at the changes to the lineup going into the game. For the Crows, David McKay, Josh Jenkins, and Wayne Miller came in for Ben Davis, Harry Himmelberg, Elliot Himmelberg, and Bryce Gibbs. Don't ask me about the Bryce Gibbs situations. I have no idea. I think he should still be in the side. The ins for the Power were Tom Rockcliffe, Carl Amon, Dougal Howard, and Justin Westhoff, a very experienced four coming in. While the unfortunate players going out were Willem Drew, Peter Laddams, Joel Garner, and Kane Farrell. And just prior to the game, Travis Boak had to go out due to injury and was replaced in the side by Sam Powell-Pepper. Now, would that affect the game? Hell no, because Adelaide totally shit the bed. It was honestly one of the worst performances I've ever seen. Granted, and for transparency's sake, I only got to see the last half, which was depressing. Didn't take our chances in the first... Crows didn't take their chances in the first quarter, and it came back to bite them in the arse when they just did nothing. Nothing at all. Port played their game to a T. Again, I feel like rewatching the first half would just make the review all more frustrating. Like, we had all the momentum, and then we stopped. Like against the Hawks, the Eagles, and some other teams. Point is, Adelaide played one of the worst halves of football that a team who is striving for a top 8 spot has played all season. So, where to begin? Port dominated uncontested possession, which is just horrific. You're going to let a team who really loves to run through the middle of the corridor get a heap of uncontested possession, and then you wonder why you nearly when you get blown out of the water. It's startling. Just Port played with a tenacity, pressure. They wanted it more. Adelaide just didn't respond. Again, all the massive issues for the Crows were laid bare and made even worse. Not marking players. So Port just got, again, free range to use the corridor. And they did. And they scored a lot. 6 unanswered goals in the third quarter. I think ended up being 9 goals to 1 after half-time, which is just pathetic. The game was dead and buried, but, you could at least make it look respectable by kicking a couple goals. Just no movement. We looked slow. Crows looked slow, looked old, and no one really performed. Like, Gallucci went out with a concussion, and Rory Sloane, who might not have great games, but he throws himself into the contest 100% of the time, did nothing. I know people would dump on Tex, but, you can't get the ball into the forward 50 consistently enough without Tom Lynch, apparently, which is a huge issue. It looks like we can't do diddly squat in the forward 50 without Tom Lynch. I'm not saying Port didn't play well. They played excellently. I can't think of a player on their team that didn't have a brilliant game. Connor Rosie kicked a couple goals and just kind of small defenders just got absolutely taken like a complete bath. Justin Westhoff again came back, towed us up. It was just Port's defense really didn't have to do much because Adelaide never really got a chance after halftime to get the ball, but even then they still just mopped up some lackluster entries in the forward 50, which has just been a staple of the Crows pretty much all year. The midfield was one-sided, totally one-sided. Robbie Gray wins his 5th Showdown medal, deservedly so, because just made a mockery of Adelaide's midfield. Tom Rockcliffe dominated. Scott Lysette dominated Riley O'Brien. I mean, Rob was okay, but just couldn't match Lysette's output. Is this a game that says more about Port or the Crows? I think it says a lot about both teams. Port, when they're on, and I think going into the last third of the season, they might be a real threat. I don't know if their Jekyll Hyde persona comes up and they get in by the skin of their teeth, but I'd put them high in the top 8. Not top 4, but probably 5th or 6th at the end of the year. Crows, they have in theory an easy run home for the most part, except for games against Collingwood and the Eagles, and the Bulldogs are actually playing a lot better now. But the point is, the Crows have some very winnable games in the near future. If they want to make finals, they've got to win those. I think they need to drop players like Douglas, McKay, put the youngsters in because we looked slow, absolutely outmatched that entire last half. I think the Crows are really missing Cam Ellis-Yolman because he's a big body. He just moves people. He's good use of the ball. We really need Tom Lynch back in the side to even any half-decent entry into the forward 50. Gallucci can do that, but he's still pretty young and not the most consistent. We really need Lynch to help with any quality entry into the forward 50. I think they brought in Josh Jenkins underdone. I think I'd rather have like Himmelberg play a couple extra games than have Jerker come in underdone. Yeah, I'd drop some of the older blokes, bring Gibbs in, brings Chase Jones in. You got to do something because the Crows looked slow, sluggish, and just completely lethargic. It was embarrassing. And Port just took us to the cleaners. Is this the kick up the arse the Crows need to go, okay, again, if Port keeps this form up, they should be like 5th, maybe even 4th. They might make a top 4 spot. But this entire season feels like just a massive comedy of errors, like teams just tripping over themselves constantly. And honestly, it was laugh because I'm going to cry anyway. It's going to be interesting to see who makes top 8 because there are some teams that are just out, maybe a couple games back outside the 8, but they're really threatening. If you like this rambling, totally improvised video, please give it a thumbs up. Please give me some feedback in the comments below. If you need, I really appreciate it. I read the comments. Even though there aren't many, I do read the comments because I do want to know how people think that I'm doing and how I present it and the content of it. If you want to see more, one on the probably doubly disappointing review of the doubly disappointing derby, subscribe to AFL Access and ring the bell to stay notified of all new content. If you like chatting about football with just some good group of blokes, and to see me have like a mental and emotional breakdown via Discord, join our Discord server. Link will be in the description. That out of the way, this has been your AFL Access.